Today, Apple turns 50 years old. A company that started in a garage is one of the most valuable companies in the world today. But this is not a video about technology. This is about what kingdom entrepreneurs can learn from one of the greatest legacy businesses ever built. If God gave you a vision in your garage season, this video is for you. Let's discuss. Welcome back to Kingdom Legacy Blueprint. My name is Joy Payne. I'm your legacy coach, and I'm excited to have you here for this video. I'm super excited for this one. Before we jump in, I do want to say, if this is your first time, go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell. You don't want to miss any future videos. If you are someone who is building something for the kingdom of God in the marketplace, this channel is for you. So go ahead and subscribe, hit the bell, share this with a friend. It's going to be a good one. Today is April 1st, 2026, and today marks 50 years that Apple has been a company. It is insane. April 1st, 1976 is when Steve Wozniak, where they founded Apple. It's insane. So we are going to be talking about 3 principles that you can learn from Apple. I mean, they started in a garage and now they are a $1 billion corporation. So there are 3 core principles that we'll be talking about in this video that if you implement these, it will take your business to the next level. Principle number 1, innovation starts in small places. Again, this business started in Steve Jobs' parents' garage in Los Altos in California. Los Altos, they started this business just tinkering. These are individuals that are right there in the prime, right there in the cusp of the technology age. And they were the ones who had the breakthrough. They were tinkering. I mean, there was already a team, a dynamic team. So you got Steve Woz. This is a guy who just knew computers from the inside out. He's building all the components, but he didn't have that mindset to actually turn this into a business. And then enter Steve Jobs. This is where the visionary came. So you need both of those components. Now, if you're one who, you'd like to build and create things, but you have that business mindset, but you really want to put something out into the world, you may need to connect with a specific person who is a visionary to help support that. And that's what Steve Jobs was for Woz. So he was the one who saw like, yo, this is dope. We're selling this to some of our friends, in college and, getting them these little things, $50 a pop. But then he wants to go to that next level. Let's get that into the world. This can literally change the world, this computer device that we are creating. And then that's when the Apple One was created. And then the Apple II, which is the one that just blew up. So it was absolutely insane. I mean, all through the 80s, the Apple II was killing it. But it all started from this garage. So a lot of big ideas, a lot of innovations, all of these things start in small spaces. That's why the scriptures tell us, do not despise those small beginnings. I know you guys are getting started in your business. A lot of you guys are looking at other individuals and saying, man, I want to get to this place. I wish I had what they had and all of this stuff. But I'm telling you, if you want global impact, oftentimes that starts with garage grace. Okay, that's what we're going to call it. Garage grace leads into a global impact. So if you're in that small season and just starting off where there's no stage, no audience, no validation, no investors yet, none of that stuff, you just have this idea and a prototype of this idea, that is a sweet place to be in. There's freedom in that. God's grace is built all over that. So don't count that as, man, I don't know what to do with this. I'm just going to put it on the back burner. I'm not going to get to this. Oh, this is too much and all of that. No, that is where it all starts. Now, that's good that your mind has these leaps and bounds. That's vision. You see where, man, this is where I wanted to go. That's fantastic. But don't let it bog you down where you're like, man, I don't know if I can do this. It starts in that small place. So again, we don't want to be comparing ourselves. Those who compare themselves amongst themselves, those are individuals who are foolish, right? That's what the scriptures tell us. All you want to do is start where you're at, trust in the Lord, let him lead the show, and continue to grow and develop what God is calling you to do from that. A lot of people, I spoke about this in other videos. A lot of people feel like they're called more so to missions, where a lot of us, if you tune into this video, that means that this video is a signal for you. Everything else is noise. This is signal for you because you feel like you have a place in the marketplace specifically. That's what God is calling you to do. You get this tugging in your heart. Yeah, it could be to leave your 9 to 5 because you're not liking it. Or it could be because you're like, man, I got this product. I got this service. I got this idea that I want to put into the world. And I don't really know where to start, but I got this idea. I did some drawings. I've been typing and writing some ideas down. I got these little sticky notes on my desk and this idea, and I just kind of keep putting it to the side. If you're watching this video, that's because you are trying to get to that next level and take that next place. So don't despise that. I want you to lean into it. That's what Steve Jobs did. That's what Steve Wozniak did. And again, they went from making 50 bucks per, little unit and computer. And now it's just $1 billion industry. It is absolutely insane. Your garage season is not your limitation. It's your proving ground. Okay, if you can't get past these little baby things, you're not going to be able to handle the big dogs. You're going to be able to run with the horses, like the scriptures say. You want to run with the horses, you're going to have to practice being solidified in this foundational season of your life. So while you are here, while you are building in the low things, that's going to be preparation for what's next. So this isn't the point to give up. So I encourage you, start the prototype, launch that first beta, record that first podcast, write that first framework, sell the first version. You do not want perfection to kill what God is calling you to put out into the world. So go ahead and just get it going. That is the foundation. That is the garage, and it is going to turn into something momentous. Principle number 2, simplicity scales. I'm going to say this again because this is what this channel is all about, scaling your business. Simplicity is what scales, not complexity. Complex systems don't work. You need simplicity, okay? Greatness comes from keeping things focused, keeping your products simple, keeping your business and your frameworks and everything laser focused and simple. That is key. Focus creates greatness. And honestly, this is where Apple became Apple. So Steve Jobs was in Apple during 2 phases. So the first phase, which we call his first act typically, was between 1976 and 1985. In 85, he left Apple, and there was a 12-year gap from when he came back to Apple. And the first thing he said when he came back, he said, these products suck. Okay. So during that time frame, when he was not there, when he was not the imagination of this business, Apple had so many products. And Steve was like, what is this mess? That's why you guys are losing money. That's why you guys are losing stockholders. That's why this is not working out. And all the other competition is just destroying you guys. Okay. So he came back, and what did he do? All of these random, so many different products that they had, he got rid of all of them. He got rid of all of them. It's like, yo, we are going to focus on this one thing, and we're going to build this one thing, and we're going to scale this one thing. So he came back with that intentionality and that focus to keep things simple. At the 1997 Apple Worldwide Developers Conference, Steve Jobs said, people think focus means saying yes to the things you got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. You have to pick carefully. See, most entrepreneurs stay stuck because they have too many offers, too many brands, too many avatars, too many unfinished products, all of this stuff just all over the place. And I'm telling you guys, I have been there. Any little idea I have, I'm just like, especially being someone who is a visionary, someone who implements and executes, I'm like, yo, this is a good idea. Let's go ahead and put it out there and do X, Y, and Z, and doing all these things and spreading myself thin. And now I'm like, okay, let me laser in and focus on these dynamic things right here that will scale and focus. And then went into coaching. So I'll show you guys, yo, don't do what I've been doing for the last 10 years and have everything going all at the exact same time. You have to scale or everything will grow linearly. There's a difference between growth and scaling. Okay, this is what Benjamin Hardy talks about all the time. There is growth, which is just like, okay, we made this much yet last year revenue, or, we're basing it off the past of things that we've done in the past. And just like, okay, let's go ahead and double that for next year, whatever, and stuff like that. But what you really want to do is scale. You want to look in and be like, okay, let me lock in on this, not be all over the place, not all scattered, and just lock in on this one thing and just give it everything and help it to just grow. So that's what the focus is. Now, I do have multiple businesses, and in each one, I'm focusing on one core thing. What is the main thing? What am I known for in this specific niche? That is what is key. That's what you want to do. Now have all these things and multiple offers and have them all starting at the exact same time. Way too much. That's going to be way too linear, or it just may be stifled. It may not even grow at all. But if you want to scale, you want to lock in. When Steve came back in 97, Apple began to win because they reduced complexity. See, clarity is good stewardship. See, God often grows what you simplify. That's why I love Jesus and his quote, even with the gospel. He says, my burden is light. He's talking about his teaching. He's saying, the Pharisees and everyone, all these religious leaders are putting all of these things on top of God's law, which was already a lot. You got 600 plus laws just from the Pentateuch. You got all these laws, right? That's already a lot. Then the Pharisees come in, they're adding even more man-made laws on top of that. Jesus said, follow me. My yoke that you carry is light. Okay, my yoke is light. He's talking about his teaching. It's simple. Jesus didn't make things complicated. He said, even the whole law. A teacher, they asked him, teacher, which laws are the most important? They're trying to trip him up to see what he says, right? So he can find something, so he can get in trouble, right? He's like, no. He said the whole law can be summed up into these two. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength. And the second one is just as important as this one. Love thy neighbor as thyself. He simplified this whole thing into 2 laws. So imagine if you took your whole system, your whole infrastructure, your whole business, and broke it down just into 2 offers, 2 products, 1 product, something just nice and simple and basic, nothing overwhelming. You don't want people to, you want there to be clarity. You want people to deter from what you're offering. Again, this relates to the gospel. God kept it simple. He keeps it nice and simple. Love God, love others. Okay. Now there's different nuances built into that, but at the end of the day, those are things you're doing that you can, the thing you can focus on and say, okay, am I doing this right? Did I say that right? Should I have thought that? Should I be doing X, Y, and Z? That's what we want to focus on. Okay. So same thing with your business. Don't be all over the place. Simplicity is key. And that is when you will start winning, just like Apple has won when they just locked in and focused. And that's when you'll start winning, just like Apple started to win when they really locked in and focused on simplicity. And complexity drains your momentum. You don't want to be exhausted and striving and doing all of these different things, hustling and all of that silly stuff so that you can get to that next level. No, you want to keep it simple because that's going to multiply your scalability. And principle number 3, visionaries need dynamic teams. A visionary without builders just stays in the garage. Okay. Now it's cool to start in the garage. Yes. Do not despise that. But nowhere in scripture does it say to stay there. God is always moving people. Okay. This is where you're at. Now it's time to move on. Okay. We got some other places we need to go. Okay. You're not just staying in this garage and building here. You need to push this out. Okay. And the best way to do that, I'm going to say this, I'm blue in the face, is to build a team around your vision. Okay. Now, there are a lot of moments, as you know, I've read the Steve Jobs biography. I've read Becoming Steve Jobs, The Second Coming of Steve Jobs, The Presentation Secret of Steve Jobs, The Innovation Secret, all these. As you can see, I love me some Steve Jobs. I love me some Apple. Okay. If it's not clear yet, okay, watching the keynotes and all of that stuff, right? But yes, Steve had his flaws. We all know this. Okay. This man was a visionary to a fault. There were certain moments where he would try to do everything on his own and just completely take over. And we see all through Apple's history, those were not the best moments. It didn't go too well with that. That Apple III didn't really hit too well. The first Mac and all of that, wasn't doing too well quite yet. When he left Apple because the board, he had this whole issue with Scully and all of that. You guys got to look this up. It was crazy. Then he started Next. That didn't go too well as well. There began to be a shift in the 90s when he started to humble himself, build those teams and focus more on the people, start helping everyone to operate. And it was really when he went to Pixar. This is when we started seeing that development. See, when he bought Pixar, man, Pixar, that was just an insane season. Okay, so he acquired Pixar. George Lucas, he got that division, that creative division from George Lucas's team. Took Pixar to the next level, but he didn't found that. So he wasn't the best at being like that top leader quite yet. He had that vision, but as far as leading the people, that's something he needs to work on. So in Pixar, when he was there, that wasn't something that he built. So someone over him being like, yo, let's keep this in line. You can't just go around and just, controlling everybody and doing all of this stuff. So that's when he had to learn like, yo, okay, I throw in my vision here and there. Everyone is operating in their unique ability and giftings and everything. And that began to make a shift. So much so that what we call the second coming of Steve Jobs, right? When he came back to Apple in 97, what happened? Dynamic. He knew how to work with his team better. He built all these amazing products. He was building from the perspective of the consumer. Like, hey, I already know what you want before you even know what you want. Well, if we walked in that, I know what you want before you even know what you want because I studied the market. I studied you guys and I know what you need and we're going to build this out so it's ready for you. Okay. Then we had this whole series. Man, we had the Macs. We had the iPods. Okay. If y'all remember 25 years ago, the iPods, being in school 20 years ago, all of that. Okay. Okay. Then we got the iPhone. We got the iPad. We got the MacBook Pros. We got all these products that came out because of the innovation and using everyone's gifts and skills. Steve had Woz for his engineering brilliance. Markula brought the business systems. Johnny I brought the design genius. Fidel in the iPod execution. And Tim Cook over operation scale. So all this to say, vision does not scale alone. Teams do. You must build teams around it. If you want to continue to be the bottleneck, if you want to continue to have everything just flow through you, to be comfortable with incremental growth. Okay. Now, if you want to go to an incremental growth channel, then you can go to some other YouTube channel that talks about incremental growth. Be free to do that as you wish. That's totally fine. But if you actually want to scale, I'm going to tell you over and over again, build a team around what you're doing. All right. So that's key. A great book for you guys to check out is Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. You guys want to check that out. It says whenever you're creating something, you don't want to focus on, man, how do I do this? How? See, now you're focusing inwardly. How do I do this? How do I get this done? But no, you want to focus outwardly. Who has the unique ability? Who has the passion? Who has the proficiency? Who has the sole purpose to operate in this specific thing? Who can help with this, to bring this vision to life? That's when you start building the team around that. Yes, and that can be scary. You're giving some of your baby off to someone else for them to support you. But I'm telling you, the return on investment for that is going to be so dynamic. It's going to be a scaling masterpiece. Okay. So you want to make sure you jump in on building teams around what you're doing. If you start with one person, okay, I do videos. I need someone to help me edit. All right, cool. I need someone to maybe send these emails, and I hire them for maybe an hour or two just to build up that muscle of delegating, of paying an individual for what they're worth, for starting to get those systems in place. Because if you start that now in that garage season, then you can get up there to that $1 billion corporation status. But it all starts from developing these little moments, these little disciplines in your business. Even when David commissioned Solomon to build the temple of the Lord in 1 Chronicles, he did not say, Solomon, I want you to build this temple alone. He told him, no, God will provide everything you need, every individual you need. So God knew to build this thing, you need a whole team around it. It's not just one person. When he built the tabernacle back in the day, there was just one person. God gave someone filled with the Holy Spirit the unique ability to do their artistic work. Different individuals to cut the cloth, different individuals to carry it, different individuals to lay out the gold and do all these different things. Everyone had a specific role and task. Now, as we know, there's the fivefold ministry, there's different spiritual gifts we have, there's different natural gifts we have. And as you build a team around your business, I'm just going to throw out a few different categories to think about and make sure you have someone in place. Now, you may fill a couple of these categories, yes, but you're not going to fill all of them. And you're going to be able to delegate this over to other individuals. So I'm going to list these and I want you to start thinking, start praying on God, fill up these specific areas so that my business can grow. So we have individuals who are builders. We have implementers. We have operators. We have the creatives. We have the executors. And we have shepherds of systems. So we're going to end the section with this. Visionaries can see tomorrow, but it's teams that build tomorrow. Another thing I want to point out is that Apple was truly in the right place at the right time. I mean, there were so many different eras that Apple was right there at that specific time. You can learn so much from this in your business. You want to be in the right era. Apple was at the beginning of the PC era. Apple brought music disruption. Apple started the smartphone revolution. Apple launched digital retail. And Apple was a trailblazer in the ecosystem economy. So as you can see, success is not luck. It's not luck. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared. Now, what era are we in now at the moment? We are currently in the AI era, right? We have distribution, we have technology over time, we have all these different things, but now we are in AI. So if you're still in an era that was about 20, 30 years ago, you are behind. You need to be keeping up with the trends. I know that's painful, especially for those of you who may be older and all of that. That's not going to work. No more excuses if you're trying to scale. Again, if you're okay with incremental, do whatever you want. Do whatever you want to do. But I'm talking for those who want to scale. You are going to keep up with what is trending. Keep up with the era. You're going to need to study, reading books, developing your craft, creating and innovating something new. Make sure you're ahead of the curve. It's not just being like, oh, there's a new era. Let me just make sure I'm jumping in. Yes, that'll keep you fine. But what if you're in it and you're the one who's like, man, let me see something new that can be started now. Okay. What's something that I can launch and create? Okay, and where does that come from? You talking to people, you studying them, you thinking of ideas of something. This is what they are going to need. They don't see it yet, but in a few years, based off what they're saying now, these conversations I'm having with people, these interactions and all of that, this is something I need to be building on the back end in that garage. Something I need to be building for them now for their future. Okay, so keep these things in mind. You want to start being at the right place at the right time. So ask the Lord for discernment. Like, Lord, give me discernment on new marketing trends, on AI, on pivots, on courses, on products, things that are changing in the market, things that are trending, things that I need to develop. Give me discernment on these things. These are things we want to be praying to Jesus about. He will help give you discernment. He created everything. He knows past, present, and future. So all you have to do is talk to him. God, what is to come? What's something that I should dive into ahead? He may have you to be the one who innovates and creates something going into something new. If Apple, this company, could do this in 50 years, that's such a short time span. They've left such a legacy, and they're still going strong, still at the top, still in the Fortune 500, all the way up there at the top companies. Absolutely amazing. I've done this in a short period of time, and they've revolutionized the world in pretty much 5 different eras, and it's still going. It's absolutely insane. So how much more can you do being spirit-filled, asking the Lord, who knows future, what's to come? You just have to jump into it and stop waiting. I had a coaching call earlier today, literally earlier today. I was speaking to someone, and they were like, man, I know I need to go on YouTube. I need to get this stuff out here. And I was telling them, like, God has given you so much to talk about, so much value to add to the world. How are you going to keep that basket over that light that God is calling you to shine? So much value add. What is it? What's going on all up in here that's preventing you from stepping out and saying and doing what God is calling you to do? There are people literally waiting, people that you are prepared to support, people who are in your target audience, ready for you to support. Like, so many people I want to support on this channel. Had I not started this, I wouldn't have all these connections, all these conversations, all these clients, all these different individuals that I'm able to support. It wouldn't even be a thing if I didn't step out in faith and actually just jump into it. And now to end this video with one of my favorite Steve Jobs quotes. The people crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Everyone watching this video, especially those who are kingdom entrepreneurs, should have a change the world mindset. This isn't pride. This isn't hype. This isn't ego. This is being obedient to God's call for you to scale that he gave us right there in Genesis 1. He said, be fruitful and multiply. Multiplication is a word that relates to scalability. So you got to keep those things in mind. You should not be thinking small as a kingdom entrepreneur. God's kingdom is not small. He wants us to reach, he said, the Great Commission. Okay. He calls us out, not just in our local area. Remember, he told them to start in Jerusalem, but to go to the ends of the world. Okay, so that's same here. You can start small here in that garage. Start in that garage, but he wants you to take it to the end of the world. I talk to so many people, I'm just comfortable, making this much or supporting this many people. But what if God is calling you to something bigger? What if he's calling you out to launch that business, to drop that book, to create that podcast, to launch the course, to launch the products, all of these different things, the seminars, to speak at the event, all of these things that he wants you to do. What is it going to take for you to step into that calling? Now, again, if you need that support, I am here to support you. Here at Kingdom Legacy Blueprint, we offer coaching. We offer the Legacy Launchpad Challenge. So if you go to kingdomlegacyblueprint.com/legacy launchpad challenge, you'll be able to do 5 30-minute coaching calls with me. And I will support you. And this is to help you go from, I have this idea and I'm trying to figure out how to put this whole thing together. I have no idea. Okay. So I'm offering you 2 things today. First, we have that Legacy Launchpad Challenge. For those of you who's like, yo, I already got this business, but I'm trying to figure out what to do as far as the course and the product and to actually build it out and create it and all of that. That's where you're going to join my Nehemiah 52-day build challenge. So that's for those who are already at that next phase and ready to actually create the course, create the product and all of that. So if you're just starting off, that's that Legacy Launchpad Challenge. If you're ready to dive in and actually go ahead and create it, Nehemiah. Okay, so those links are both below in the description box below. You don't want to miss that. I want you to take this line home. Legacy builders don't just create income, they create ecosystems that outlive them. That is why Apple has reached 50 years, and I anticipate them reaching another 50 years because they have the systems in place and they have that that foundation of the visionary. Steve Jobs, I'm telling you, he's no longer with us, God rest his soul, but he set a deep foundation in Apple to be innovative, to create, to be ahead of the curve, and to just create something dynamic for your client, for your avatar, to add value to the world. That's what God is calling you to do today. Apple is 50 years in because they stay committed to innovation, simplicity, and visionary teams. So again, if God gave you that Apple-sized vision, but you need that blueprint to simplify it, I encourage you to jump into the Legacy Launchpad Challenge. And if you're already moving and now you're trying to connect the pieces, I need you to jump into that Nehemiah 52-day build. We are going to build all of this out. I'm here to support you. Jump into the challenge. I hope this video really blessed you. I hope you can really see like, wow, okay, if I just stick to this. The thing with business is you can't stop. You can't give up. That's where you're messing up. There's always going to be changes. You should be growing. You should be learning. Every part that feels like a failure is actually making you stronger. So take all of those hits and continue to walk through it. Because again, like I said, 50 years is not a long time. A lot can happen in 50 years. And it wasn't even at the 50. They were way ahead of that years ago. Now they're just living in it. It's so awesome. So we can say 40, we can say 30 years is when they started hitting those pivotal benchmarks. And that can be you. So I want you to get those systems in place. I want to work with you. Let's connect. God bless you. God bless Apple. 50 years. And it's going to keep going. Let's continue to learn from this dynamic company as you build your kingdom business. God bless you.